Ange, Rob and Robbo.
Streaming live across the globe, Angeli Rao, Rob McKnight and David Robinson.
Ange, Rob and Robbo. News and views, entertainment too. It's the Ange, Rob and Robbo. Ange, Rob and Robbo Show. Rob and Robbo Show.
Welcome to the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show.
Hello there to another big week of the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show. Welcome to our Thursdays at 8. Hope you are enjoying your Thursday. Everyone in Victoria, sorry about what's going on down there, but our thoughts are with you during another lockdown as your state goes through stage 3 of the lockdown. But it hasn't stopped Ange filming The Real Housewives of Melbourne yet, so we don't have Ange tonight. And Robbo is actually still sick, so we're hoping he gets better soon. So I've got some fill-ins. Actress Sarah Monahan is with us. Hello, Sarah.
Hello. I'm expecting the sunrise at any moment behind me.
It will look lovely. I've seen the view from Sarah's boat many times. It's fantastic. I've got to say, Sarah, even Abby's away tonight. So literally, we are holding up the fort.
I don't know what's going on down in Australia. You guys need to take some vitamins or something.
Maybe. Well, Abby's in Sydney at the moment and decided to go out for dinner. But you know what?
Oh, good
I'm
job.
very pleased to have here tonight. And it's actor Dan Ewing. Hello, Dan.
Oh, mate, just like a bad sequel, I am back on your show, hey?
Now, before we get into our hot topics, I do want to talk to you because we knew you in Home and Away. You were one of the Bra Boys, but you're going on and you really are kicking goals. You did a movie called Love and Monsters. It was the #1 Netflix movie in the world in April. But your big one at the moment is Occupation Rainfall. It's gearing up for its big US release. What I love... Oh, there's the Love and Monsters, is it? Which one's that, Amanda?
Ooh.
Oh, no, that's Rainfall. That's Rainfall. What I love about... I saw the monster, Dan, and I thought, what? But that's the production company. What I love about this movie is it's an Australian movie that is just... Look at that. It looks something like... It looks like it's out of Hollywood. The effects are amazing, but it's not just effects driven, is it? It really has heart.
Oh, it's got great characters. I mean, what Luke Spark has done with this film, and with the first one in particular, that's why we have this big budget for the second one. And it's got, as you said, that real Aussie character and Aussie heart. So US audiences love the first one, and they're going to go bonkers for the second one. June 11, the US audiences are going to get it. We can't wait.
Well, mate, what we actually have is the new US trailer. We know they go bigger and better with everything. I've got to show you this, Sarah. Wait until you see it. Have a look at Occupation Rainfall, its big US trailer.
It's been 2 years since their mothership arrived out of nowhere. An invasion force hell-bent on destroying humanity. If it wasn't for a handful of brave men and women, they would have succeeded. But now, I fear that the worst is yet to come.
What I'm about to show you has only been known to a handful of people. This is the weapon to set this planet up and wipe the slate clean. This is Project Rainfall.
Is this gonna be it? Running, fighting, repeat?
Our greatest story as a species is not that we fall, but that we rise again.
Oh, that's not good.
Here we go! Something big is coming.
OMG. Sarah, doesn't that look amazing?
Well, dystopian
Mate.
future is my absolute favorite genre, so I'm in.
Ah, there you go. Dan?
Well, thank you so much for that, Sarah. Look, it's even just seeing it now, it gives me goosebumps. What Luke and his team accomplished on this is huge. So I can't wait for international audiences to see it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Was it filmed in Australia?
Filmed pretty much mostly on the Gold Coast. Obviously, we outsourced a lot of the special effects to some of the best guys around the world, guys who did Marvel movies and Star Wars. But yeah, most of it was done right here on the Gold Coast, just in Rob's backyard, actually.
And I wasn't asked to appear. So, no issues whatsoever. Okay.
No, but it looks brilliant.
It is brilliant. I've seen it. It is fantastic. And before we move on to our hot topics tonight, I just want to say our first social media comment, we like to see who gets in first, came from Jason Turner tonight, where he said, "Get sexy in 3, 2, 1. Hold it. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now."
Now.
All right. Plenty to come up. Bruno Boucher is in the house tonight. He hasn't let us down. But first of all, let's get into our hot button issues, because the PM has been told he should apologise to former Australia Post CEO Christine Holgate. As you'll remember, Scott Morrison made a big deal about the $20,000 Holgate spent on watches as part of a bonus package for executives who had secured millions of dollars in revenue. Just as a reminder, here's what the PM said in the House at the time.
Mr. Speaker, earlier today, when this was brought to my attention by the report of Senate estimates, I was appalled. It's disgraceful, and it's not on, Mr. Speaker. And so immediately I spoke with the shareholding minister, the Minister for Finance, and the minister responsible, Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Communications. And from those discussions, the following actions ensued. And that was that there had to be an independent investigation done by the department, not by Australia Post, that the chief executive should stand aside immediately. Mr. Speaker, that chief executive should stand aside immediately, and that, Mr. Speaker, the independent investigation should look into the conduct of the board members and their governance, as well as the actions of the management and the executive. That report will come back to me and my members of my cabinet, and if, Mr. Speaker, there are issues to be addressed with board members, then they will be addressed then, Mr. Speaker. This all happened within an hour, Mr. Speaker. So appalled and shocked was I by that behaviour because, Mr. Speaker, as any shareholder would in a company, raise their outrage if they had seen that conduct by a chief executive, a management or a board, Mr. Speaker. They would insist rightly on the same thing. Now, we are the shareholders of Australia Post, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Australian people. So that action was immediate. That action was immediate. And if the chief executive wishes to stand aside, well, not wishes to stand aside, she's been instructed to stand aside. And if she doesn't wish to do that, Mr. Speaker, she can go.
Well, when fronting a Senate's Estimates Committee about the events surrounding her resignation, this is what Christine Holgate had to say.
I do not want what happened to me to happen to any individual ever again in any workplace. I was humiliated by our Prime Minister for committing no offence and then bullied by my chairman. I have done no wrong, for their bullying of me was far from over. I was subjected to a biased investigation and intimidated with constant threats of further allegations and criticism.
Now an inquiry has released 25 recommendations, including that the PM should apologise and calling for the resignation of Australia Post Chair Lucio Di Bartolomeo. Other recommendations included a restructuring of the Australia Post Board and an express ruling out of plans to privatise the service. Wow, Dan, the PM being told to apologise. Should he apologise? And if you were the PM, would you apologise?
You know what, mate? I'm so glad we opened with this topic because I am sick of the Prime Minister doing this over and over again. Miss Holgate, if you are watching and you are a fan of the show, you have my full support. Also, my birthday is coming up in June and a Cartier watch would look really good. Look, I wear makeup for a living, so I don't want to begin to tell the Senate what they should do. But if they have recommended that the Prime Minister should apologise if he has done something wrong, this isn't just this isn't just Twitter. They have gone through an inquiry. They are professionals. This is their job, and I, for one, will stand by it. And it's always good to see the Prime Minister apologise if something's done right.
Well, yes, this is not a Prime Minister who seems to know how to say sorry. But, Sarah, something that interests me, I think the PM read this wrong. He was looking for a quick diversionary headline. He went in hard and he said, this woman's got to go. And then when people became more aware of what it was, it was budgeted to give the executives bonuses. She actually, I think it was something like $150,000 was budgeted. She spent $20,000. And when...
So she saved money.
She saved money and they made millions of dollars in revenue. So I reckon the PM thought, Cartier watches for the Australia Post Board, I can make a meal of this. I think it's backfired spectacularly.
Traditionally, people give watches if you've done a good job. Like, even my boat broker gives people Rolexes if they sell a certain amount of boats per year. I mean, I don't see what was wrong with it in the first place. There was a budget for it. It wasn't like she just went and gave, watches to people she liked. I mean, people did a good job. They got a gift. Basically, he's an idiot, and he should apologize.
Well, what I love is that usually this show divides the panellists. Usually there's a dissenting voice. I think we all agree on this one that I really respect this lady. I think she's pretty amazing. I think she was treated appallingly. And we saw this when... It even happened at the ABC when the government was putting pressure on the ABC and the chairman was forcing the managing director out. The same thing playing out exactly. The chairman is forced Christine Holgate out here, and it's led to her standing up and saying, no, I will not accept this. And now with Senate's estimates getting involved, it's a spectacular fail on the PM's part, isn't it, Dan?
Put it this way: any other job in Australia, right? When you are in a position of power, he would have been made to apologise right away. That person would have apologised straight away. Why is our Prime Minister different? The top job in Australia. That's my question. If everyone else would apologise, why is the PM not apologising? Just pull your head in, mate. Apologise. You've done the wrong thing. Simple as that.
You know what? And that is the simple thing. With anything, we all do the wrong thing at times. We make mistakes. I wasn't going to talk about COVID at the moment because I just think people, especially Melbourne, they want an escape from COVID. But what I would say, we were promised vaccines. We were promised first in line. We were promised that we would have enough for everyone. Those two things fell through. We're still struggling to get Australians vaccinated. We said we'd done a deal with AstraZeneca. It then took ages for those to come through. The vaccination rollout program has been an abject failure in this country, and while the states have done great jobs with their borders, it is time for the government to step up and get Australians vaccinated. And if Australians don't think they should be vaccinated, tell us why we should. There's a big problem out here, Sarah. What's the vaccination like in the US at the moment?
See, I live in Florida, and if you ever read Twitter, it's always Florida man, or everyone makes fun of Florida. Anytime anything happens, they're like, oh, of course it's Florida. Sunday, I had my second Moderna shot. Both my in-laws have had the Pfizer shot, and my husband's had a Johnson & Johnson. So we've had the full gamut of everything available. But yeah, I've already had my second, and I went to the local park where they had a walk-up. I got online the first time. I made an appointment. Someone actually called me and said, do you need help making an appointment? And I said, I'd like to have the J&J because I wanted the J&J at the time. And then they pulled it. It had been pulled, so I was going to wait for it to come back. And then I was like, well, I am over 40. There's blood clots. And the only reason I wanted the J&J is because I'm deathly afraid of needles. And I thought if I could get away with one instead of two, that would be best. And then I did more research and I decided just to get the mRNA one. And that was what they were offering at the local park. And it was literally, you walked up, you filled out some forms, they check your ID, they give you the jab, you wait 15 minutes, and I could walk back to my boat because it was right next to the marina. And then 4 weeks later, they called and said, can you come back at the same time on Sunday? Said, yep, sure thing. So they actually called me to make sure it was done, came in, got my shot. There's a thing that texts me every day to make sure that I'm safe and that I haven't had any side effects. They go through a whole list of stuff. It's actually, everyone makes fun of the US rollout, and it is brilliant. Like, everyone I know that wants a shot has had a shot. And I mean, unless you live in a small rural town in middle America, but I mean, I'm in Key West. It is literally the lowest point in the US, the farthest from anything. And we had trouble getting the vaccine to start with, and they did only have it for older people the first few weeks. But now everyone here that wants one has had one. So I don't know why Australia, which has supposedly much better medicine, and if you ever read Twitter, everybody in Australia likes to point out they have a better, like, program for medicine than the US does. Yeah. And so if you guys are not getting your shots, I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they need to pull their finger out
That's 20
and get it
for the
done.
swear
Because,
jar, Sarah.
but I mean, if Trump could get this shit done and now Biden's getting it done, surely Australia can get it done.
Could not agree more. All right, let's move on, because schools in New South Wales have started spying on students using software that allows teachers to see what they're typing online. The Daily Telegraph reports the spying is being targeted to school children at risk of bullying and self-harm. The software uses artificial intelligence to identify red flags in words used in emails, online chats, and Google searches to alert teachers to students who may be suicidal or cyberbullying others. Sarah, is this an invasion of privacy?
So my husband works in cybersecurity, and so this software's been out for a long time, and it's used on employees at workplaces, and they can also see what else you're doing. I think at schools, if it's on a school computer and you're made aware, but I don't know how they're targeting which students, because they say it's for students at risk, but are they putting it on all the computers and just watching everyone, or are they specifically targeting?
The algorithms are looking for keywords, and so that will then flag to a teacher who can then go through their search history and their emails and things they've written. So I think it's...
Technically, if it's school property, you don't really have a right because you're using someone else's property, and as long as they make you aware of it. But if they're like putting something on your personal laptop, then absolutely not.
No, but Dan, I've got to say, I still don't know about the schools spying on students. We all know that if you're at school, if you're searching on a browser, the web pages you visit, sure. But what you're actually typing in an email, I think there has to be some level of privacy, doesn't there?
I agree on the privacy note. I actually think it's fascinating. My little boy is 7, and now, so if I get updates sent to my email and via text, and I was thinking about this concept, and I thought there's got to be a middle ground here where I think mental health should be really pushed at school. You know, I think it's really important, just if not more important than gross motor, and I really think it's great. But there's got to be a very fine line here. You know, is Big Brother watching, or is it actually for the kids? So I think, is there a consent form that can go out that allows, like, there's some sort of program? Is there such a program or an app that even exists? But I think it's a very interesting concept, especially for mental health. But I do think the way it's been implemented here, that does give me, like, I kind of push back a little bit on that. I wouldn't want it for my child, just my opinion. But I do think a mental health app or a program or something that does recognize such words, that could really help the teachers get a leg up, because let's be honest, they haven't got the resources to apply to each and every individual student, especially ones that are quiet or might be struggling. So I think there is an avenue here that could be explored.
Yeah, but also, just to go back, it's at private schools only at the moment. It's private schools that have decided to get this software. Government schools,
so you have no expectation of privacy?
Well, see, I still disagree. And look, if the students know this is happening anyway, they just won't be stupid enough to do it on school property. I don't know. I'm big on privacy, and you know, there's some privacy we give up when we use Facebook and Twitter and things like that, but we make that choice. I don't like...
But if you do certain searches on Google, you're getting flagged anyway, even on your private computer. Like, I used to work for a government agency, and if you searched certain terms, you were going to get a knock on the door. So, I mean, and that's with
I
your
make a true
your
crime
own...
podcast, so imagine what I'm searching at times.
Yes. So you've got an excuse, but if you're looking for certain things, you are going to raise flags. So kids need to learn probably at school, you're being watched, because when you go to work, there's software on your computer at work that is absolutely watching you. Everywhere you go, I mean, this is 2021. Big Brother is a real thing. Everybody's watching you all the time, and everybody has apps on their phone that are constantly watching you, spying. I mean, think about like when you have a conversation with someone and then all of a sudden Instagram is giving you targeted ads. You are constantly being monitored. It's not right, but you are.
I understand, but once again, we're choosing to use those services, and part of that is giving up some privacy. All right, let's move on, because there's been a lot of talk about cancel culture lately, with many comedians saying nothing should be off limits. But Seth Rogen has a blunt message for anyone who objects to cancel culture: stop whining.
Saying terrible things is bad. So if you said something terrible, then that's something you should confront in some way, shape, or form. I don't think that's cancel culture. That's you saying something terrible if that's what you've done.
You know, his comments have divided people, Dan. Is it as simple as he's saying, because aren't different people offended by different things?
Of course, there's always a grey area. And look, there is cancel culture, and then there's being accountable for what you say. As Seth says, and by the way, this kind of really does sum up where we are at right now with the media, because I think the articles I read said he was attacking other comedians. He wasn't. He was just saying, if you want to put this stuff out there, if you choose this as a career, be ready for the repercussions. That's all he's saying. But the cancel culture thing, I can understand their frustrations. I mean, look, we all work in the media, and you know, we are walking on eggshells at all times. I mean, look at this format. We say one wrong thing on this, it's like it could change the trajectory of our careers. Maybe not yours, Rob, but you know what I mean. So but I do understand what he says, though, because I've had friends come to me, the media says this. Well, you need to own the fact that you put yourself out there for this sort of criticism. Doesn't matter whether you're an actor or a presenter or a comedian or an athlete. You know, it's I do understand what he means, but your cancel culture is a very, very dicey subject.
You know, there are certainly comedians, Sarah, who say nothing should be off limits. Surely that also comes down to the way they deliver it.
Well, and I think, it's up to the delivery, because you can make a rape joke, I think, and still have it come off okay. Like everyone says, you can't make race jokes, you can't make certain jokes. And I think you can. It's how you deliver it. And the other thing is it depends on how things were, like, because a lot of the things is the cancel culture, it's not just now. Like now you should probably be more PC and, you know, don't be a douchebag so much. But I think what he's talking about, or people are complaining about, is there were jokes people made 20 years ago when things were considered funny and they weren't off limits, which are now off limits, and people are getting cancelled for something they said 20 years ago when at the time it wasn't offensive, or it was offensive but people weren't complaining about it, and now it's considered offensive. And so I think it's harsh to go back and cancel someone for something they did 20 years ago. But if someone does something now, like if someone made a racist joke now and they got cancelled, I'm totally fine with it.
But you know what? It's not as simple as that, because someone says something someone doesn't like, and they say,
and it is subjective.
Me, you should be off the television, or you should be off the newspapers.
And some people just have no sense of humour, and they don't get humour, and they don't understand a joke. And some people just shouldn't have access to Twitter. But I mean,
but there is a
it's hard
mentality sometimes where people just want to get people taken off their jobs. So, like, it's people are trying to get people fired all the time these days, it feels like.
Yeah, it's a game.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, we've got more hot button issues soon, but in the meantime, here's what else is coming up on tonight's edition of the Ange, Rob and Robbo Show. We're going to meet the stuntwoman who worked with some of the biggest stars on the planet, but she's also the star of Naked and Afraid. He wasn't in the Big Brother house for a long time, but Mitch was certainly made a big impact. He was the challenge beast, and we will meet him soon. Plus, in entertainment, music superstars the Veronicas turn on Celebrity Apprentice, find out why they're lashing out at the TV show they're currently appearing on, Angelina Jolie loses big time in her ongoing feud with her ex Brad Pitt. Just wait until you hear about the latest developments. Was the Friends reunion worth the hype? Well, I've seen it, and I'll pass my verdict soon. And Bruno is here. He will be here tonight as we go down the rabbit hole. Just what will he be talking about this week? I've got no idea, but I can't wait to find out. All that and more is coming up soon, and there are more hot button issues just ahead. But in the meantime, he may have tried to harness the talent. He has, and many have, tried to harness the talent and charisma of Freddie Mercury, but few have succeeded. But our next guest is one of those who has. Take a look.
Australia's best Queen tribute band with Thomas Crane playing Freddie Mercury.
That's the best impersonation I've seen.
I think you're brilliant. Hurry, booking fast and almost full.
Wow. Thomas Crane and his band are on the road to bring fans the ultimate Queen experience, and he joins us now. Thomas, welcome to the Ange, Rob and Robbo show.
Hello, Queen fans. Hello, Rob. Good to have...
sorry, Thomas. Are you sure you are not Freddie Mercury, who has come back from the grave or pretended to be dead? I swear to God, I'm not even saying this. I feel like I'm actually looking and talking to Freddie Mercury.
Well, it could be. Sometimes I wonder myself. You know, and so now I'm him. I'm here.
It's amazing. Look, Freddie Mercury, he was such a presence and had so much charisma on stage. How do you channel that energy and prepare to step into his shoes?
It's pretty nerve-wracking, actually. You know, I never really looked forward to stepping on the stage because of my nerves and stuff like that. You know, I only done it as a joke. I did a friend's birthday party back in the day, and you know, when karaoke came out, and the next minute I ended up on Australia's Got Talent. So, you know,
which is amazing. But seriously, I'm assuming this is archival footage, but when I first saw it, and I hate to go on about this, I thought I was looking at your promo video. Like, the similarity between you two, it's amazing.
I just need the cigarette.
Now, let me ask. Bohemian Rhapsody came out and it blew people away. Have you seen a change in audience since that film came out?
Oh, absolutely. The crowds have grown significantly. You know, we can't, you know, we can't begin to think where we begin, because after the movie came out, actually, the crowds just grew. You know, theaters were selling out. They were becoming bigger and bigger, and I had to give my day job up.
Wow. Well, that's great if you can do this as a full-time gig. I've got to ask you, though, Queen had so many hits. Is there one song that gets you and the crowd going?
Yeah, I suppose another one, Bites the Dust. You know, I seem to get the crowd. We do a bit of the scales and, you know, a bit of back and forward thing, and it seems to work out that people like it.
And when you're channeling him, does it give you a new confidence when you're performing as Freddie? Because he was his own, I don't know how to say it, but he was his own man that had his own presence, that really didn't play by the rules. Do you find you change who you are as a person when you're portraying him?
I've come to terms with it when I'm on stage now. You know, as soon as I step on stage, I change. I become this other person. You know, and the energy seems to work off the crowd. I know what they expect, and of course I deliver that. And the satisfaction that I get from that it gives me confidence to being that person. And I just have to accept it at times. You know, that I'm up here doing a job, and that's all I'm up there doing. And, you know, I've got to give that to the peoples. And it's, as I say, to see their faces, because, you know, we play all the songs in the original keys. There's no backing tracks. it is what it is when it comes to Queen, and we bring that back to the fans.
Well, Thomas and the band are taking his tour around the country. They'll be in Port Macquarie tomorrow night and Cessnock on Saturday before heading to Queensland in June. For a full list of dates and ticket information, head to bohemianrhapsody.com.au. That's bohemianrhapsody.com.au. Google it, because even I'd struggle to spell Bohemian Rhapsody, but if you're a Queen fan, you'll know how to do that, but it's well worth finding the website. Thomas, thank you so much for being on the Ange, Rob and Robbo show.
It's a pleasure. Hey, oh.
I love how I said, Dan and Sarah, even I'd struggle to spell it. I can't spell for shit. But there it is.
I just you're such a fanboy. I haven't seen you fanboy that much since you interviewed me the first time.
I know. I swear, because I was really thrown. I seriously, he comes up and I seriously, oh my God, he really does look like Freddie Mercury.
Uncanny, the teeth,
Are those
and
his
everything.
teeth?
Yeah. Well, you should have spoken up, Sarah. We could have asked him. But I swear, I genuinely looked at that and went, this guy is amazing, and
yeah.
I wasn't lying there. I really couldn't tell the difference between Freddie Mercury and him. That's going to be a great show. Go to bohemianrhapsody.com.au. And I want to take an issue with something, because Matthew, we did the tease of what's coming up, and I mentioned what Angelina Jolie has lost as part of the court proceedings. Matthew chimed in and said, it's about Brad Pitt sharing custody. That's not Ange losing anything, but kids gaining a life with both parents. She has lost something, Matthew, and I'll tell you about that in entertainment. So that's coming up. Stay tuned. All right. Well, pressure is mounting on Australian businesses to acknowledge the role pets play in our lives. New data reveals 81% of pet owners want greater flexibility in the workplace when it comes to the care of their pets. This includes 2 days off when introducing a new pet to the family, sick leave, or even grievance leave. Sarah, you have oh my God. No, look, I have animals. So love. But are we really going to give people 2 days off to meet their new pet?
Look, I live on a boat called No Kids. This is my only child. Years ago, we had a Chihuahua, and when I had to put her down, it was probably the most devastating thing I've ever done. And thankfully, I wasn't working that week because I would have needed time off. But yeah, when you're getting a new dog, you absolutely, you lift my lab off. You absolutely need time to teach your dog how to, potty where it's supposed to.
Don't take special pet leave.
But breeders get time off for their kids, so human,
it's
there's
not the same. As much as you love a pet, it's not
okay, but what about
if a baby
don't do it, Rob.
What if it's
don't
not?
Do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it, you're gonna lose your viewership.
Don't start it, Rob.
Big Brother Oz, I agree. Pets
what about for service dogs?
I agree, but it's not the same as having kids.
It is the same. It absolutely is the same. Look, my dog is smarter than half the people around here's kids, honest students. I swear to God. But what about, even if you don't agree for pets, what about for service animals? Because like Teddy, because I'm hearing impaired, we're going to put him through service dog training and he will be my hearing dog. So do I get time off if I have a real job for that? Technically in the US I do because it's a disability and I'm learning to use my equipment.
I actually don't.
But what about in Australia?
Don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
I just don't cop the idea that, like getting special funeral leave for when the pet dies. And, I get that it's a sad time. And please.
No, people grieve for their animals harder, absolutely, than they do for, humans.
Sorry, did you just say pet owners grieve harder for their pets than humans do for their kids if they lost a kid?
Well, not necessarily their children, but they have shown that people feel there's actual studies that show that people feel a greater loss at the loss of a dog or a cat than they do for lots of people, because you put everything into an animal and an animal loves you unconditionally. You don't have weird feelings for it like you do with people. And so a lot of people really do they grieve a lot harder and it takes a lot longer to get over because you're told, oh, it's just a dog. And so they suppress those feelings, but you should be allowed to grieve an animal. I mean, it's your best friend in the whole world.
Should. No, please, you're misunderstanding me. I have no problem with grieving an animal. I agree with everything you've just said, that the bond between people and their pets is huge, and animals provide a lot of love and friendship to people who are lonely, like everything. I agree with that. I just don't know that people should be getting special leave when they get a new dog or a new puppy and get time off because they've got a new puppy. I don't know. I just can't fathom that.
Maybe not for the breaking the puppy into the house. That's perhaps that's where I go. But I'm basically, Sarah. It's like speaking to my partner, speaking to you. And Rob is how I used to think. So Boston is my partner's child. We literally had to go on Hughesy, we have a problem, because we were having discussions about Boston being allowed in the bed, in the human bed, as I called it. But we won't go into that. She won. But I think leave for a sick pet after seeing. I have a beautiful personal friend who actually can't conceive, so her dog is her child.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact if that dog was to get sick, that's the same as her human child. So I would 100% agree that leave for that puppy if it was sick or to rush it to the hospital is every bit the same as a human for her. I had a human child before I had a puppy, so I still think humans, it used to be, it's a pet. Now I'm kind of here, and if my girlfriend is listening, puppy is even.
I've got to say, you two are doing something that Ange and Robbo very rarely do, if never. You're convincing me.
So here's the thing, right? Do you remember back in the day when you used to get cigarette breaks at work? And as a non-smoker, you were stuck inside working while everyone else was out having a cigarette break.
Yep.
And I'm like, do I get a fresh air break? Do I get to walk around and have 20 minutes off just to shoot the shit? And no. But so now that everyone's having, and people with kids, like when you don't have kids, you are constantly forced to work days when everyone's like, oh, my kid has a runny nose, and people use their kids a lot more than they need to for time off, but the kids are always, oh, they need this, they need that, I need a day off, oh, there's a recital, oh, there's a play, I can't do this, I can't, especially casual workers, maybe not for salary workers, but casual workers, everyone who's worked a casual job is constantly picking up shifts for people with kids because kids are always an excuse. So maybe if pet owners are allowed to do the same thing, either it'll slow down the people with human children, or now it's fair.
All right. I'm ringing the bell on this one because you guys have convinced me. Judge Rob is in the house. Here are the rules. Compassionate leave, I will grant. Yeah. I will grant compassionate leave. When a doggy dies, you deserve a couple of days off to deal with that. I think I'm even open to betting in a new animal. The sick, when an animal's sick, though, I don't know. You've got me coming part of the way to you, okay?
But if you have to take the dog to the vet,
do you need to prove it? Do you need to prove? This is the thing, like high school. But I'm saying, so with a kid, the sick note from the doctor, do you have to have it from the vet? Because it's like if Mac has been out on the terps with his mates and he's a bit hungover. Oh, the dog's crook, mate. I can't.
This is the fourth dog I've lost this month, boss. I need more time.
Man's best friend. I can't leave him alone.
Fixed. I mean, if I had a real job and I needed to have Teddy fixed and I've got to take him to the vet, which is during business hours, would I get the day off to have the dog fixed? I mean, that's the responsible thing to do, right? To have your dog spayed or neutered. So are you getting a day off for that, or do I have to take it out of personal time?
If people want a day off to get a procedure done on themselves, you take a day of annual leave. So take a day of annual leave.
Well,
no dramas.
But it depends on if you're salary or if you're a casual employee, right?
Let's assume salary because it's just too difficult otherwise. All right, let's move on because I love this story. Senator Jackie Lambie has been put in the naughty corner by Qantas after some bad behaviour at the Chairman's Lounge. The Tasmanian Senator has been suspended for 6 months across all Qantas services, including airlines. According to the report, Senator Lambie reacted adversely to being told she couldn't access the lounge. She dropped expletives and referring to pussy power and telling staff, "Your CEO is a poof." Lambie has taken full responsibility and apologised to staff and accepted her punishment. So no one's going to defend the actions of Jackie Lambie here, not even Jackie Lambie. So, you know, I will say though, you would die to get in the Chairman's Lounge. I got to go in once in Adelaide. Ita took me in. Amazing. They literally...
Why was she denied in the first place?
Because I think there'd been an incident prior. So that was sort of like her punishment. Then she's gone off about this and escalated. But the Chairman's Lounge, and Sarah and Dan, you guys probably go there all the time, but they literally come to you, a waiter comes to you and says, what would you like? And what's on the menu? Whatever you want. So they will specially prepare anything you want. The wine, the alcohol is whatever you want. It is absolutely amazing. And after that, I just wanted to be Ita Buttrose so much. She lives that life, and I got a glimpse. Behind the curtain. But anyway, moving on. Dan, have you ever been banned or had to face a big punishment for your behaviour?
No, when I was reading this article, I realised I need to do something to get my rep up or something. You know, I got to start throwing TVs out of windows in hotels or something. Had she had a few rums in the airport before this? It seemed like she was very angry for.
She'd had a bad day. She crashed a car. There were like a succession of things. Her flight was delayed, and she obviously had a bad moment. And look, I mean. You shouldn't behave like this anyway, but what I did like was she took responsibility for it. She didn't try to palm it off. She said, I had these things happen, but you know what? They didn't deserve the tail end of that. And obviously, talking about Alan Joyce referring to him as a poof, like, come on, we're in 2021.
No, that's cave woman behaviour. You can't do or say things like that. I've got a real thing about being rude to hospitality staff too. I can't stand it. I'm one of those overly nice people. They must think I'm fake because I'm so nice because I really respect the work they do and what they have to deal with, and they're going to deal with a lot of people in very stressful states. You know, our beautiful airport workers. So big shout out to them. But I've never been banned from anywhere. I tried to think about it. I mean, I'm sure we've all been asked to take ourselves elsewhere at a pub or two. Just me? Great. Enjoy your night, sir. But I've never truly been banned. What about you guys? I couldn't think of one.
No.
I've been denied access.
The only place I was banned from was Studio 10. But...
You've been walked.
So my husband has the credit card that's supposed to, like the American Airlines one that gets you access to the lounges, and it's supposed to get you access to the lounge, like the Qantas lounge, because of the One World thing. But because I take so many flights using his miles, I had lost my high tier of status and I was back down to like the gold, which is like whatever the plebby one is. And so I went to the lounge and they were like, you can't use this card because you're not good enough. And so I was like,
word they used?
It was, yeah. And so and it had happened twice. And one time, one of the women, I think she just recognized me, and it was like right after the court case. And she was like, Sarah, just walk this way and I'll let you in. But another time they were like, really like, no, you can't come in. I'm like, but it says like, and I called like the number on the card and they were like, you're absolutely allowed entrance. But, you know, they're just having a whatever. Oh, wow. And so they didn't let me in. But thankfully, I also have the priority card. So I just went downstairs and got like, they have the thing with the restaurants where you get a certain amount. So I just had oysters and champagne downstairs instead. So I was like, screw you.
Tough life there, tough life.
Yeah, it worked out. It was fine. So it was all good. But no, but I did remember, like, we still bring that up because this trip we went home to San Antonio and my husband called the credit card because apparently his mom hadn't been able to get into one. And he's like, you know, what is going on? And he made sure that the card was going to work for everybody this time.
All right, fair enough. Hey, guess what? It's time to have a look at This Week in History as we take a trip down memory lane, and for that, we're crossing to Sarah.
Thanks, Lob. And yes, let's have a look at what's on in This Week in History. Rob. I don't have my glasses. I just
Well, you
I
need
need
the
a sip of
glasses to
water.
read Thanks, Rob.
I need water. Anyway, here's what happened this week in history. It was during this week in 1981 that John Hinckley Jr. attempted to assassinate then-President Ronald Reagan outside the Washington Hilton Hotel. He recovered and went on to become the first serving US president to survive being shot in an assassination attempt. It was during this week in 2003 that Finding Nemo was released. It has since earned the title of best-selling DVD of all time and the first Pixar movie to win Oscar for Best Animated Feature. It also caused devastation for the clownfish population as it prompted huge demand for the funny fish in pet stores. And finally, it was during this week in 2011 and Oprah Winfrey aired her last show after a 25-year run. While the farewell event featured appearances from Aretha Franklin, Beyonce, Will Smith, and more, the final episode was a small event and received the highest ratings in 17 years. Back to you, Rob.
Thank you, Sarah. Very nicely done. Who needs Robbo?
We miss him. I miss you, Robbo.
Rob and Dan.
Well, how do you think I feel? I've still got Robbo at the bottom of my screen here. I think you guys just prefer him. It's okay. I'm fine. I'm not insecure about it. It's fine.
You pulled back the curtain there, Dan. They can't see the Robbo sign. All right. Hey, Bruno is just around the corner and our entertainment report, so make sure you stick around for that. In the meantime, Ky Furneaux is no stranger to a challenge which has seen her perform dangerous stunts in over 50 productions. But her latest project may just be her most ambitious yet. And she is dropped in the Amazon for 21 days, naked, afraid, and alone. Take a look.
They survived in pairs and in groups. And now, the best of the best are taking on their greatest challenge yet. To survive 21 days. With no support.
Oh my God!
No one to watch their back.
This is my shot.
Completely exposed.
I'm terrified.
Naked and afraid. Alone.
Wowzers. Here to tell us all about it is the woman herself, Ky. Welcome to the Ange, Rob and Robbo show.
Thank you so much.
And you're not naked.
No,
But you are afraid.
No, neither, I'm afraid.
Look, you've done Naked and Afraid before, and they have contestants in pairs, but this season is Naked and Afraid alone. Tell me the difference psychologically being by yourself.
I actually way preferred being by myself. I'm not really nervous or scared about anything that's going on out there. So for me, the true challenge is working with somebody that you don't really know and that they sometimes cast for conflict. So for me, being able to make all the decisions and being able to motivate myself and get up every day and know what I wanted to do was probably way better. And I sort of relished the serenity of being alone in the Amazon.
Look, you know, it looks like you are completely naked there, right? So I don't mean to harp on this, but that's pretty confronting, especially when you're in front of a production crew who have all the footage of you before they blur it. They're seeing everything.
Yeah, I mean, the first time was very intimidating, but honestly, the second they say go and you have to take your clothes off, we were waist deep in alligator-infested swamp water. So the last thing you're thinking of is, oh my gosh, they can see my boobs. You're thinking like, is an alligator going to bite my leg off? So the nudity aspect of it very quickly goes away when you're looking at surviving. And in the Amazon, the crew was only with me about 7 hours out of the entire day. And I really just had one female who was operating the camera and sound and doing everything. So, you know, it just quickly goes away as soon as you get into survival mode.
That makes sense. What made you come back after having already been... You ticked off this experience, so why did you feel the need to do it again?
They do a 40-day challenge where they have 12 people out there naked, and they keep asking me to do that one, and I'm always like, no, I mean, there's too many people. I'd do it if I was alone. And so then when they came to me like, hey, we've got this new concept, I couldn't say no.
You painted yourself into a corner. This is something I'm really interested in knowing, because there's always speculation about survival shows. People often question, is Bear Grylls, is that real? How important is it for you to do it authentically, and is it authentic?
Yes, this show is probably the most authentic reality show on television, and especially with season 1, we were the social experiment. We were the 6 people that went in to start to try and make this show a reality, and they just dumped you in there and sat back and looked at you like you were, you know, a mouse in an experiment. But for me, I couldn't, even if someone offered me something out there, I couldn't take it, because I know in my heart of hearts that I haven't succeeded in the challenge that was set out for me. So it's, I mean, you can see from the weight we lose and how haggard we look, we're not getting help, we're not getting sleep, we're not getting food. Everything is a matter of life or death. So at the end of the day, you know, it is the most authentic reality show on television.
Good to know. Look, another side of you is you've been a stunt double on some pretty impressive films. We're talking the Avengers movies. You've doubled for Anne Hathaway, Jennifer Garner, Sharon Stone in Catwoman. Is it appealing to you to be part of these huge productions but still be able to stay out of the limelight to some extent?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty of stunts. Like, you get to create these characters and play dress-ups and do amazing physical feats, but then walk down the street without anyone recognising you. You definitely don't do the job of a stunt performer looking for fame and recognition.
Well, but it's exciting stuff, isn't it, when you get to work with these famous people? What's that like, and do you have much interaction with the celebrities?
It really differs from production to production. Like, some productions you work very close with them, like Jamie Alexander, who was the Lady Sif on Thor. We, over 10 years, worked together very, very closely, and I designed the action for her character on Blind Spot. But then there are other people, you know, like Anne Hathaway or Jennifer Garner, that have a main stunt double, and you sort of just come in the background to do the stunts that they're too busy to do. So it depends on the production, but sometimes yes. And what you do learn is they're just ordinary human beings that just happen to have an extraordinary job.
Have you ever been told not to look in the eye of any of them?
I have.
Oh, wow. Are you prepared to name names?
No. I still like my job.
Yeah, but I guess there aren't many stunt actors on Ellen, so, you know. Anyway, just thinking out loud.
No, she was lovely. She was really funny, actually, because I had a blonde wig on for doubling her, but then I had it off for rehearsals, so she was like, oh, you're doubling me? Because I've got this mop of brown hair, but she was actually lovely.
Oh, I didn't know that you actually doubled for Ellen. I was just making a joke. That's hilarious.
No, I did.
Well, yeah, I mean, fully researched, don't worry. Hey, you can catch Ky in the new season of Naked and Afraid Alone on Discovery on Sundays from June 13th, my birthday, at 8:30 p.m. What a great birthday present. Ky, thanks for being on the Andrew and Robbo Show.
You're welcome. Lovely chatting with you, and happy birthday.
It's the red light shot of the day. Where are you going today? You never know where you'll end up with the red light shot of the day.
And today we're taking you to Lyon in France, a city discovered by the Romans, and also where cinematography picture cameras were invented in 1895. They're in for an overcast afternoon with a top of 21 and a low of 14. Let's get into some feedback now. And Jamie says, did I just see Dan Ewing, or was that just my last drink kicking in? Yes, you did see him. Look, on the subject of animals, I think compassion needs to be given on animals when they need full-time care as much as kids needing full-time care. Can I just ask, am I coming back through to everyone? Am I sounding funny?
Yep.
What button have I pushed? I don't know what I've done. Let's keep going. Sorry, I'll try and fix it. What else have we got? So yes, compassionary animals. Rod says grief is grief. It's not a competitive sport. Reggie asks, where's the chairman's lounge? Well, Reggie, it isn't actually said where it is. They actually have a secret door. It's not labelled. You've got no idea where it is. So it's really, really cool. Big Brother Oz asks, would tonight's panel go on Naked and Afraid? Dan, would you do that?
I just call it SAS Australia, mate.
Which you are on. We should point out, you are on SAS Australia very soon.
Yes, I am. Look, to be I thought SAS Australia was confronting. My goodness, what a show. Would I do Naked and Alone? In short, no. I don't even think I'd have company. So...
And we just discovered what that little bit of audio was. Sarah, would you do Naked and Afraid?
No, because nobody needs to see that.
Well, let's talk about some recordings. Some TV Black Box episodes when Sarah's been caught first thing in the morning.
Yeah, no, let's not go there.
And I hope no one from Rob. I hope no one from Leon sends you any feedbacks. I think you just call it Lion, but that's okay. You're the boss. You can do what you want.
I have had the worst night for intros and pronunciations tonight. After every intro, I'm going. But it's nice that we've still got the Ange factor on the show. She's usually picking me up for my bad pronunciation. So, Leon, oh la la, Leon. Thank you, Dan. Hey, Sarah, it's actually over to you right now.
Yes. Well, actually, I think we're throwing back to you for the entertainment report this week since no one else is here. And first up, we're talking about the Veronicas, and apparently they're very unhappy with the Celebrity Apprentice.
That's certainly true, but look at what we're going to do. Oh, look, I'm on the entertainment background. Look at that.
Woohoo!
Yes,
you made it.
The Veronicas are not happy with entertainment. For a few days, they've actually been raising issues with the editing they've been receiving from the show. Their first post started on Facebook, and someone commented on the Celebrity Apprentice Facebook page saying, I was offended by the dots painted on the guitar. That is Indigenous art, the use of dots. I think the Veronicas should be ashamed of themselves using Aboriginal art as a way to make money. Now, what they were referring to here was a challenge in the first episode where they had to make art to auction off. Now, the Veronicas painted a guitar that they then performed with, and it was sold for $60,000. The Veronicas, they're really big on social media, and they responded to the comments saying, this was not Aboriginal art or appropriation of our sacred Australian Indigenous culture. What was edited out was us explaining before, saying that we were going to use elements of pointism art and duality of colours within the art style to create our design. We hope this clears up any misunderstanding and confusion. You will only see edited parts of the show, not full stories or context in reality. So that's now started a big thing. This was the first hint of some unhappiness they were having with the editing. Then, in a now deleted tweet, they said, Celeb Apprentice making a comment that we featured more heavily in upcoming eps, also known as the eps we were given scripted drama, but the first eps where we tell our story, strategy with tasks were completely dismissed. So the viewer only gets to see us as drama, as per usual. Now, they continued yesterday saying, at Celeb Apprentice, why are you not airing any of our wins and strategy for each task, only using the scripted drama you gave us as the only airtime / promo? Where's all the footage we pull through for our team and for our charity? Why is all of that being edited out? But it didn't stop there. Just this morning, they said, we came on the show to raise money for charity and awareness for the Brain Foundation. We didn't need to do this show for exposure. We signed on after they stressed and emphasised it would be a show with heart, given we had to take physical time away from our mama to do it. Now, what we've got to realise is their mother was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia with progressive supranuclear palsy, and they've been caring for their mum. They're very close with their mum. She has been a big part of their careers. They then continued to say, everyone knows us fighting is part of our brand. That doesn't bother us. What does is bringing us on board under the pretense of heart, then editing out why we were there in the first place, and we love our team, leaving us only with drama. Our charity deserved so much more. They then shared a link for donations to the Brain Foundation. The show has shown a lot of conflict between the two. In fact, I've got to tell you, the way they engage Dan and Sarah is absolutely hilarious to me, because it's no holds barred, as you can imagine two twins would do. They're now alleging a lot of that was scripted. It's interesting, though. Reality TV, is this what you've got to expect, Dan?
Whew, lots to unpack there. So firstly, I just want to say, obviously, our thoughts and prayers go to their beautiful mum. Firstly, I think, it's one of those things for me. It's like, do you hate the player or hate the game? I mean, it's the sensationalized drama that sells. What's the highest rating show in Australia? Is it still Maths, Rob? Tell me if I'm wrong. Unfortunately, that is what gets the clicks. And the clicks, for everyone at home, that means people click on the article and your advertisers stay happy because the show's advertisers are happy because your eyeballs are on the advertisement. That's just what it is. I do feel for them, because no doubt there is some stuff there and some great moments for their charity, and it fleshes out them and why they're doing this more. But unfortunately, drama is what runs the world of television. And it could be in reality format or whatever. I don't necessarily agree with it. I do feel for what they're saying. Unfortunately, this is just the way it is. I actually think they spoke quite well. I'm sure there's a few contract breaches in there. But the points they were putting forward were quite educated. And do I think it's going to change the editing? No. But I hope for them they found their voice and got something off their chest.
Yeah. Very interesting. Look, I'd also say I had an exclusive story last week about Pete Evans being in trouble with the TGA. Well, interestingly, this week the TGA have come out and confirmed my reporting. Pete Evans has been investigated once again by the Therapeutic Goods Administration, but this time it was for non-COVID related matters. And in a statement, the TGA said the Therapeutic Goods Administration, TGA, part of the Department of Health, has issued infringement notices totalling $79,920 to Peter Evans, Chef Party Limited. The TGA also issued a directions notice to the company and to sole director Peter Evans for the removal of alleged non-compliant advertising. They went on to say, due to the repeated nature of the alleged advertising breaches, the TGA has also issued a directions notice to Mr. Evans and his company to cease advertising therapeutic goods not entered into the ARTG and to discontinue making various claims about therapeutic products. Now, this $80,000 includes last year's fines, where he was fined $25,000 for the biocharger. The new charges are for alleged advertising of static magnet products and hyperbaric oxygen therapy chambers. As we read, they also made the point that these breaches are of a repeated nature. Now, I contacted Pete Evans last week and got no response. I was actually the one who informed him. The TGA were investigating him. As I said, I got really, really inside information, and let's just say it's interesting when the story gets confirmed so quickly. So it's interesting how fast the TGA have moved on this, Sarah.
Yeah, I also find it fascinating the difference between Australia and the US on matters like this, because in the US you see all kinds of random things advertised and they just have a tiny disclaimer down the bottom that says not intended to treat anything, even though they've just spun for 20 minutes about what it's intended to treat. But I find it fascinating in Australia, like you can't basically bullshit people about, or, have alternative services, because I am more holistic alternative. Like even my actual MD is she's a real MD, but she believes in more holistic stuff. Like, I had an infection last year, and she's like, so here's your vitamins. And I'm like, do I get antibiotics? She's like, oh, no, we don't take those. And so...
But that's fine. And even the TGA looks after, is fine.
But if he was advertising... Is he advertising specifically to an Australian market? Because he is also... Like, he has shows in the US.
Well, he's Australian.
So I wonder if he was doing
his fans are Australian, and he is advertising to Australians. So he might be doing it worldwide, but he falls under Australian law. And Dan, you just can't do that.
You absolutely can't. But you know what you can do? I just thought it was quite interesting that he got fined a huge whack of cash, and someone on my Twitter just said that Rob McKnight broke this story, and he was right on the money. The humour isn't lost on Australia, that's for sure. Well done. Good job, Australia.
I like that.
Right on.
Nice to know
You
people
bunch of
notice,
dad joking
that's what I
savages.
love.
Good job.
Hey, let me tell you about... Sarah, I just put my hand over your face.
Talk to the hand.
Oh, my God.
Talk to the hand.
You know what? I thought I was being clever. I thought I'd put myself on Jason's background, but I didn't test to see. Sorry, Sarah. I'll try and stay within my box.
Pick my nose right there.
Let me tell you about the Brangelina divorce, and I know we had some social media feedback wondering about this. Look, it seemed, in what seemed to be a good outcome, Brad and Angelina were both awarded joint custody of their children. This battle's been going on for a long time. It's been a very messy breakup from the two. However, Angelina is not happy. She actually tried to get the judge disqualified. This was in California's 2nd District Court of Appeal. The two, Brad and Angelina, actually appointed this judge so that it could all be sealed, the outcome. But now her lawyers have submitted documents saying that Judge Odenkirk denied Miss Jolie a fair trial, improperly excluding her evidence relevant to the children's health, safety and welfare, evidence critical to making her case. He refused to hear the minor teenagers' input as to their experiences, needs or wishes as to their custody fate. In California, there is a state legal code that allows minors aged 14 to 17 to testify, which 3 of their kids are. However, Brad Pitt's legal team hit back saying the judge has conducted an extensive proceeding over the past 6 months in a thorough, fair matter and reached a tentative ruling and order after hearing from experts and pertinent witnesses. Jolie's testimony lacked credibility in many important areas, and the existing custody order between the parties must be modified per Mr. Pitt's request in the best interests of the children. While the ruling has been made, it seems this may not be the end. Now, look, it's been 5 years since Angelina filed for divorce after an alleged incident on a private flight. Joint custody is now where it has ended. But look, I've got to say, guys, Angelina Jolie has tried to take Brad Pitt down. She has leaked to the media. She was very unhappy when Hollywood sided with Brad Pitt, because you look at her history, anyone she's broken up with, whether it's Billy Bob Thornton or whoever else, she has taken down. This woman plays hard. Sometimes you would argue unfairly. She plays it out in the media. She has tried to embarrass Pitt. Pitt has stood his ground, maintained his silence, but fought the legal fight. It'll be interesting to see where this goes, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by what happened that made her snap and decide to divorce him. And I think the only good thing in this case is the older kids, even though they have joint custody and they apparently don't want it, is they're old enough that they'll only have to do it for a couple of years and then they can decide if they want to see him again or not. I am surprised he got joint custody of the ones that weren't biologically his. I can see him fully getting custody of the ones that are his, but not the older ones. But it's just messy, and you never really know what's happening behind closed doors, and so I always try and reserve judgment on that stuff.
Yeah. Look, I understand that. I'm only talking from a public perception of my take on Angelina Jolie, and I could be completely wrong, although that's very unlikely.
But what did she do to Billy Bob? I don't remember her taking him down.
You haven't seen much of Billy
Rob,
Bob.
I have something much more important. I have something much more important to talk about. I've got to know what's going on, mate, with My Kitchen Rules. I know Brad and Angelina are very important, but please, like, this was put to the bottom of the run sheet. This should have been the number one topic of the day. You know what I mean? So please, do you know something more?
I absolutely do. Well, another TV Black Box exclusive. Rumours have been flying around that My Kitchen Rules was in talks to return next year, but Aaron Ryan from TV Black Box caught up with Seven's Director of Programming, Angus Ross, and here's what he had to say definitively on the matter.
I've got to ask about My Kitchen Rules. It's obviously been rested this year with Seven taking on the new direction. We spoke about that at the start of the interview. There's already rumours flying that MKR is set for a comeback in 2022. So let's quash the rumours by asking directly, is MKR coming back to Seven?
Well, it's not coming back this year, obviously. We've said, we'd like to revisit the format at some point, but at the moment it feels way too soon. I mean, I don't know where these stories come about, asking production companies to come and pitch or whatever on the show. It's certainly not anywhere in next year's schedule at this point in time. But it is, if we can again reimagine that format and come back with something that we feel could resonate, we'll look at it.
So there you go, not off the cards forever, but certainly not in next year. He went on to say that it was great for the network during its time, obviously with the exception of the last season's ratings, which tanked. I was quoted in the media and saying, while that series was going to air, I said, it's dead, buried, grab the coffin. And I was right. That's all I'll say. But interestingly, look, if you are interested in the TV industry and what's happening, that podcast with Aaron Ryan, it's a great interview, and Angus Ross gives a lot of information out. So I'd really recommend having a look and listen to that podcast. You can find it at just search TV Black Box on your favourite podcast feed.
Now, if they did bring MKR back at some point, wouldn't they have to find new chefs?
Yes.
Since
Pete Evans is not part of any future plan, I will tell you that right now. Look,
probably need some money, though.
Guys, tonight I got to see the Friends reunion. I had a look at it. It was an hour-and-a-half special reunion that finished only an hour or so ago here in Australia. It's only the second time they'd all been together since filming finished. Look, it was actually really emotional seeing them on set for 17 years. I've got to say, the opening of this special, and we're not playing footage because of copyright. We're only going to play bits of trailer as overlay, but this was actually a really, really good special. I loved it. And the opening of it, when the cast came out and saw the set recreated, was really, really magic. The stories they told, the games they played, the things we heard. People, interestingly, a lot of people are making hay about the fact David Schwimmer and Jennifer Aniston actually had a thing for each other, which they talk about in this special. They never actually got together, but they both at different times had crushes on each other, but the other one would always be in a relationship. So the first time they did kiss was on set. But I thought that was no knowledge. I'm sure there's been stories about that over the years that they've themselves have talked about. But that's one of the headlines to come out. This thing was so huge. It was launched at 12:02 a.m. this morning in LA. And Sarah, I think that was about 3 a.m. your time. The HBO Max website went down. So even though it was in the middle of the night, they couldn't handle the capacity of so many people wanting to watch that. Here in Australia, it went to air at 5 o'clock on Foxtel, on Fox 8, and their streaming service Binge at 5:02 in the afternoon. So that was much better. That's why we got to watch it. I would say if you've got Foxtel or Binge, go and have a look. It was really, really great, really worth having a look at.
Yeah, so you had sent the email saying we would be watching it, and I didn't have HBO Max, but you can put it on Hulu as an add-on. So last night we tried to put it on, but it wasn't going to air until right before I had to have the alarm set to get up this morning for this. So I wouldn't have even been able to watch the whole thing before we started. So, yeah, I think you guys actually got a much better time because you can watch it in the afternoon, whereas here people are still waking up and haven't seen it yet because anybody on, the New York coast hasn't seen it unless they literally waited up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to watch it. So, everyone on Twitter talking about it will be Australia instead of the US.
Yeah, well, and maybe they were trying to avoid the meltdown of their server, but they still got a meltdown anyway. Look, before we move on, Joe and Jason, I think will both be back next week. I am taking the reins for them, and God help us, let's get them back next week, please. But Joe Casamento actually wanted to be here because she's organised a giveaway. It's a special surprise for our viewers. We have 3 copies of Yellowstone Season 3. It's that amazing TV series starring Kevin Costner, which is out on Blu-ray, DVD and digital this week from Paramount Home Media. It's a great series. Have you guys seen this? It's really, really good. Kevin Costner is fantastic. It follows the Dutton family, who control the largest ranch in the US. That is under constant attack by land developers, an Indian reservation and America's first national park. This is a world where land grabs make developers billions and politicians are bought and sold by the world's largest oil and lumber corporations. It is the best and worst of Americans seen through the eyes of a family that represents both. So, to win a copy, you have to answer this trivia question. Which movie did Kevin Costner win 2 Academy Awards for, but neither as an actor? The first 3 comments to guess correctly in tonight's Facebook comment section of this video will win a copy. Thank you, Joe and Paramount. We love that. How brilliant is that?
Wow.
Very nice.
So you're telling me our viewers don't just turn up for your good looks, Rob. They come for prizes.
I tell you what, I'm sure they don't turn up for my voice, and I've done a lot of talking tonight. I'm so sorry. I have, and I'm going to do a little bit more as we go into our next interview. But Bruno is just around the corner, and you guys can run that one. Look, let's talk Big Brother, because he came, he conquered, and then he was evicted. It's been one hell of a ride for Big Brother intruder Mitch, who was eliminated last night on the Channel 7 show. But fear not, Mitch is with us now. Hello, Mitch.
Hey, mate, how are ya?
Good. Look, you were a challenge beast. It can't be that much of a surprise you were eliminated at the first opportunity.
Yeah, pretty much. I knew going in that it was either going to be get in and dominate or get dominated, really. So I had to perform when it come to challenges.
But you rubbed it in their face, Mitch, you know. Was that a smart strategy, do you think?
Probably not the best, but I thought while I'm winning, I might as well make the most of it.
Well, you certainly do. If you had your time again, would you have changed your strategy and maybe thrown a few of the challenges?
No, it's just not me to throw that sort of stuff. Like, as soon as I cross that white line, it is all go. Like, it's just straight for the goal. There's no going to back off at all. That's just not who I am. So it was get in and just smash everything possible, even if it's bloody ice sculpting.
Well, I mean, it's hard to compete with that. I mean, it's like looking in the mirror for me, seeing those big muscles. You know, but tell me, what is it like being a Big Brother contestant? Did anything surprise you about the experience?
Oh, it's insane. It's completely undescribable, the feeling of it, being stuck in this house with, what was it, like 15 strangers for a couple of weeks, and then just listening to someone tell you what to do at every part of the day. There's nothing I've ever experienced anything like it, so it was incredible.
You certainly weren't happy when you went into the halfway house and you were talking about revenge. Were you a bit blindsided by that eviction?
Yeah, I was. I definitely was not expecting it, that's for sure. But definitely thought I had the numbers. I had a lot of people come up to me and ask if I could help them with challenges and stuff and protect them, which I stuck to my word. So it was a bit of a shock when it came down to it, and the numbers were against me.
Do you reckon it was because of Danny? Was he doing his thing?
Yeah, might be running a little bit of little man syndrome there. So seeing a big fella come in, his top spot was in jeopardy. So you had to think quick.
Look, on your way out, you made some very interesting comments about Tilly. You said she's much smarter than she comes across. Having seen the full show and the way she set herself up, that's the game she's trying to play. But you picked up on it, which I found very, very interesting.
Yeah, she comes across and plays the ditty extremely well, but when it actually comes down to it, she's very intelligent the way that she goes about everything. She's quite a logical thinker and just plays it extremely well. Like, I came in, obviously done the challenge as well, and claimed that Challenge Beast title, which I think took the heat off her a bit from winning so many challenges. So, yeah, no, she just completely plays it off extremely well, so hats off to her.
Yeah, and even the way she nominates, she was forcing a vote on you. 2 votes with the couple in the house, the power couple, and she said if I put Brenton in, Christina has to vote for Mitch, and so does Brenton.
That's exactly right. And even when Chrissy and I were stuck in that room, we were like, oh, yeah, we'll promise not to put a vote on each other. And once it was Brenton, I knew I was in trouble. So.
Oh, yeah. Now, look, you did Big Brother, but have you done the right game? Next year or this year, they've been shooting SAS Everyday People. Shouldn't that have been the one you went on?
Yeah, well, I applied for Survivor a couple of years ago, managed to get through a couple of auditions and stuff, so I was hoping that was going to be my game. But, yeah, when this opportunity came up, I just jumped straight into it. I wasn't going to say no to it. But hopefully I've shown them enough and they'll put me in something a little bit more rough and tough next time.
Oh, I think you have to do SAS Australia, to be honest. I think
I'd love to. Yeah. See if he can put me through my paces.
Yeah, I think so. Look, Big Brother continues every Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. on Channel 7. Mitch, thanks for being with us tonight.
No worries. Thanks for having me, mate.
Okay, I'm going to take some breaking news now because the COVID lockdown is about to begin in Melbourne in just a few hours, but there is some pictures coming through to us thanks to our friend Leo Puglisi at 6 News, and we can see that there are protests taking place at Flinders Street. This is an anti-lockdown rally in Flinders Street. It has been in response to Melbourne's new restrictions. People are not happy, so there have been these protests taking place. They've been going on throughout the night. Obviously, the restrictions come into force at 12:01, so they will have to disperse by then or face being arrested. But at the moment, they are legally protesting, from what I understand, and we will... obviously, it'll be interesting to see how far they go. I never understand why people do this. The government is just trying to do the right thing, but they're obviously, Dan, just trying to... I mean, they have every right to protest. I'm a big believer in protesting, but I don't understand the idea of protesting when the government is actually trying to look after you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for free speech and all sort of stuff, but I do believe in this case the government is trying to look after people. And by the way, this is me speaking to you as someone who's been okay during this time, so my heart goes out to any small business owners who might be struggling, or I know it's a really tough time for people. But yeah, for me, this isn't the right course of action, just my opinion.
Yeah. I do agree, but it's their right. But as long they have the right to protest, but as long as when those lockdowns start, they do the right thing. Okay, you know what? Big change of pace now, because it's time to go down the rabbit hole with our good mate Bruno Boucher. Bruno, get in here.
Hey guys, how are you? Hey.
G'day, mate.
I love seeing you, Bruno. You know I love it. What have you got for us today?
Oh, I want to introduce you guys to this guy called Don Ward, and he's been a New York shoe shiner since 1987. And there's two things that make this Don Ward unique. One of them is he insults people. Like, that's how he gets their business. So they'll walk past and he'll say, like, oh my God, your shoes are just horrific. You're disgusting. You're going to get fired today. Let me do your shoes. So that's one thing that makes him unique. And the second one is how much money he made from shining shoes in New York. And I'll be getting to that later. That's my big reveal. But here's a little bit, just so that you can get to know this Don Ward guy. Here's a little bit of him insulting people.
Okay.
Let's go, girl. You need the hookup. Come on, get it over with. I'm here till 6. How do you catch fish? You gotta use good bait. The shoes, they could be tighter. You gotta tighten those up, bro. It's all about the bait. So that's what I call it, baiting. Now you could do better than that.
I know.
It's bringing people aware of a condition to use my service. Sir, self-awareness. The first step is admitting, young man.
He's great.
Yeah, and so look, I think everyone here's been to New York. Like, in a city like New York, to be able to stop people in their tracks, you really need to cut through. Like, I grew up in Brisbane. To get someone to stop in their tracks in Brisbane, you just need to kind of smile, and they'll be like, because it's like a very boring city and nothing happens. But in New York, and I'm in Sydney now, it's like you've got to bring your A game to get people to stop. Now, once again, before I tell you how much Don makes, I want to play for you Don talking about how he got into his, how much he loves his job. I think that's important. Let's do that.
Okay.
It's honest living. I'm an average, hard-working man who pays my rent and take care of my family. I ain't rich. I ain't never gonna have $1 million in the bank. I love what I do because of the freedom. I don't have no incompetent boss giving me orders, right? I have no backstabbing co-workers trying to get brownie points. I'm free. Give yourself a treat, get your ass in the seat.
Doesn't he strike you as the type of guy that would have been a giant pain in the ass at work, by the way? As much as I appreciate his entrepreneurial spirit, like, what a pain in the ass. But look, forget what I'm saying. Now is the time of truth about how much he makes in a day. And remember, this is US dollars, okay? Here we go.
They always ask me, how much money you made today? But I made about $900.
Wow, it's Kyle Sandilands' money.
That's Kyle Sandilands' money. Yeah, that's $1,200.
And it's cash money.
Australian. Yeah, cash money, no tax. This is take-home money. So, if you consider 52 weeks in the year, let's say he works 5 days a week, that's $312,000. And if he was to work every day of the year, that's $438,000, nearly $500,000 take home. And as you say, Sarah, no tax. And actually, I did the maths. I've got a little bit of a side-by-side comparison of how much the Prime Minister takes home versus the minimum and maximum that our mate Don Ward could be making shining shoes in New York. That's not too bad, right?
I'll tell you who I respect more. I tell you what, I don't think that would be any surprise. Good on him.
but what made me realise how much of an entrepreneur Don was when I froze one of the frames during the story. And can you guys see that? He's got a little price list of what he does. Now, if you look at the top right, he's got like club membership. So if you look down the bottom, platinum, $500. If you pay $500 for the rest of your life, you can get your shoes shine unlimited. That's pretty good, isn't it?
That's a good deal.
And then he's got gold, which is $100 yearly, silver, what is it, $30 monthly? He's got a whole thing going there. So I was just blown away by this guy, because this was just a little kind of New York Times video feature story, and I was like, $1,200 a day, that's big money.
Stripper money.
Everyone's got to be really jealous of that, right?
You know what, mate?
I mean, there are girls taking their clothes off that make less than that.
They couldn't do this. They absolutely couldn't do this on the West Coast, because people are way too fragile in LA. Only in the East could you do this. I mean, can you imagine hitting someone up down in West Hollywood or whatever? They'd be like, about their shoes. They'd be,
oh my God, they would cry.
That's such a good point. And look, finally, you're probably wondering, how did our man Don Ward come up with this idea? Like, did he come up with it, or did he, was it a crack-induced dream? Look, spoiler alert, he just stole it off someone else, because it's New York. That's what you do. Here's the clip of him explaining how he didn't come up with it.
I started shining shoes around 1987. I've been at this corner for about 17 years. I used to work in this photo lab. Now, we had a guy in there, he did something and got fired, and set up a shoe shop across the street from the office. So I went down to the corner to make fun of him, actually. Then he pulled out this wad of money and said, well, I already made more money than they paid me all week. I've been doing this ever since.
Amazing.
like. Do you know where he is? Because I'm going to be in New York next month.
Oh, he's just near. Actually, he's kind of diagonal to where the Fox News studios are. The Avenue, is it the Avenue of Africa or whatever it is, where the Sirius XM and Fox News buildings are? Yeah. He's I know where that is. He's right there. But I love that. In his mind, the ultimate form of revenge is to set up a shoe shine place across the road from somewhere that you no longer work at. Like Rob, could you imagine if at Channel 10 in Piermont you had a little shoe shine place across the road, or if at Today FM when I got sacked, I had a little shoe shine place there on Golden Street, and I'm like, hey guys, look at me living my best life.
No, I can see what would happen. Some of those executives would walk through dog poo and say, shine this. Oh, wow. Hey, Bruno, while we've got you, we know you're Carl Sanderland's manager. How is he? He's been a bit angry. He's been making a few headlines this week. Is he all right?
Well, yeah, as he approaches 50, he's, in a few weeks he's turning 50, he's just getting a little bit cranky, He's been a little bit sick too with a chest infection. The doctor's told, giving him antibiotics, but instead he's been using cigarette therapy to kind of flush out all the toxins. I don't know how much that's working, but he has been cranky.
Bruno, I'm just going through my emails here. I haven't seen my invitation to his 50th. Has that been lost? What's going on?
Stop being such a groupie, Rob.
Can I tell you how much...
Carl. Everyone knows that. I'm a big fan.
How much we're spending on his birthday party is the equivalent to the GDP of a small country. It's ridiculous.
I might have to shine some shoes to get in. No pressure.
It's good to see you again, Dan. It's good to see you again too. What's that?
We'll just wait for that invitation to come through.
Yes.
We love you. You know that. We missed you last week, so we'll talk to you again next week. Thank you, mate.
See you guys. Bye.
I do love Bruno. Dan, it has been such a pleasure to have you on tonight. Thank you for joining us on the Andrew and Robert Show. Are you happy? Are you okay? How do you feel?
Oh, I think I might need to sign a form or something. I might need some therapy or whatever. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure. And like I said before, mate, it's always such a good insight into the TV world and the work and the prep that you guys go through. Big shout out to the viewers, of course. I promise I won't be back if you don't want me back. Okay, I promise.
They want you back. I want you back. Sarah, I'm excited about the fact you're going to be doing the show from New York in a couple of weeks.
Yes, in 2 weeks, I think it is, or maybe 3. I'll be fully vaccinated by the time I get there, so it's good. But I think that I've been here enough now that it needs to be Ange, Rob, and Robbo * plus Sarah.
I know. You've done a great job, and we're very grateful. Ange is trying to get a night off from The Real Housewives. She said, I am actually putting in leave to try and get back on the show. She really does miss it. But Sarah, we love having you on the show, so thank you. And Dan, seriously.
I always enjoy being here.
Yeah, well, thank you. You must, because you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. But Dan, you have been great. You have done. We've seen a whole new side to you, mate. You are welcome back anytime. So thank you very much. We really appreciate you both being here. Sarah's got a puppy.
Yeah.
That's a sign to wrap this thing up. She'll be wanting annual leave in a moment. We'll see you next week on the Blank Rob and Blank Show. See you.
Bye.
See Ange, Rob and Robbo Show.